Hello, beautiful humans. Happy Saturday. I hope that you are having an absolutely fabulous day. I wanted, hold on one second. Dun, dun, dun. Sorry. Okay. I wanted to pop on and have a conversation with you guys that I had with a client recently. So a client who has known me for years asked me, and she's somebody who is inside of All of Me and in my Sacred Frequency program. And so that, let me just pause and say that All of Me, hey Kathy, is my membership program. And right now we are running Sacred Frequency. So anybody who's inside of All of Me gets Sacred Frequency as part of that program. And I will say that All of Me is going to be changing relatively shortly. So there is going to be an opportunity to hop into that program if you want before the prices change. So back to the story. I had this client who is inside of All of Me and inside of Sacred Frequency, and she's known me for years now. And she said, I know you've kind of been through hell this summer and fall. And I said, yes. And I could tell from the way that she was phrasing it and the tone in her voice that there was going to be a question there. And she said, how did you not let this break you? How did this not break you? And I have been sharing really vulnerably and in a very raw way about the experience that I'm having inside of Sacred Frequency and All of Me. And while I'm not sharing all of the details, because not all of them are mine to share, I am sharing my own process. And when I say that, what I mean is my process of what I am experiencing inside of myself. And then my process of moving with what is happening inside of me. And breaking my own patterns and expanding and growing and changing. And I kind of smiled at her when she asked, how did, you let this not break you? How did this not make you spiral? And the answer is that I made a choice. There was a moment for me where I realized that I was having an experience that I didn't really enjoy, that I didn't have a preference for. It's another way of saying that, right? And sometimes that's life. Sometimes things happen in our reality that we're like, this isn't what I planned. This isn't what I wanted. This isn't the experience that I was looking to have. And so I had that kind of a moment, right? And before having that kind of a moment, when I was just in that experience, and I'm saying an experience, but it was really, multiple pieces of a larger experience. So when I say I'm having an experience this summer and fall, what I'm talking about is the larger experience, the totality of the things that were happening and that happened and are currently happening in my reality. And I'd kind of been fighting it or resisting the things that were happening. And it was relatively early on. And I was like, all right, well, I can like it. I can not like it. I can kick and scream. I can go along with it. But this is the truth of what's happening. This is what's happening in my life. I can close my eyes and pretend, pull a blanket over my head. I can be like an ostrich, stick my head in the sand. But the reality is that this is exactly what the fuck is happening in my life. And there was a moment where I made a decision that this situation, that this dynamic, that this thing that was happening, the thing, my life, that was happening in front of me, that I was going to let it change me, that I was going to use this experience to step into the next expression of me. And I haven't always done that. There have been so many experiences that I've had in my life where I did not leverage the medicine of the experience, or maybe I leveraged a little bit of the medicine of the experience. But by no means did I make the decision to take all of the medicine that I could possibly hold from the experience. And that was the decision that I made this summer when this whole dynamic started to happen. I made the decision that I was going to extract as much medicine as I could possibly absorb out of the experience. Because this is the thing, I was already going through it. And I wasn't enjoying it. It wasn't an experience that I was enjoying. So if I'm going to go through something and I'm not going to enjoy the experience, and there's going to be discomfort and there's going to be pain, then why would I not extract all of the medicine that I possibly could? And you know what happened when I made that decision? When I really decided that I was going to extract every ounce of medicine that I could, which means that I needed to look at myself, dynamics, situations in a wildly different way. And I'll get into that. But do you know what happened? I stopped hating the experience. I believe, and I got to live the experience of the fact that when I stopped fighting it, when I was like, okay, this is what's happening. Life is happening. It's getting very lifey right now. I just put on my seatbelt and my sunglasses and I was like, let's do this. Let's do this. And then it stopped being horrible, okay? Like, as soon as I stopped fighting it, it stopped fighting me. It stopped being horrible. If I only enjoy the experience when I get to the end of it, right, whatever it is, then how sad is that, right? But if I get to enjoy the entire experience of something, right, like, okay, if you think about making money, right, like, let's say you want to make X dollars amount a year. If you only get happy when you get the X dollars amount, that's only like a snippet of time. But if you enjoy the whole process, you get to sit and enjoy the whole time if you never get to the blank dollars. It doesn't matter because you enjoyed the experience, right? Like, there's so much beauty in that. And so when I stopped fighting the truth of the experience that I was having in my life, and I just decided I was going to extract as much medicine as I could. I was going to let it change me in the most positive way. I was going to come out of this dynamic, this situation, this environment as a much better expression of me. When I made that decision, it was a very conscious decision. I was like, this is not going to take more of me than I'm going to take the medicine of it. And I made that decision. And then I stopped hating the experience. Were there a lot of uncomfortable parts? Are there still uncomfortable parts? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I stopped hating the experience. And if I'm being honest, there were so many moments that I adored, that I loved. Because in making the decision that I was going to extract as much medicine from the absolute shit show that was happening in my life as I possibly could. Which I think we would be silly not to do that, right? When I made that decision, which is a decision I haven't always made in my life, okay, made that decision, then what I was committing to was growth. What I was committing to was healing. What I was committing to was being a better expression of me, a more aligned expression of me. A version of me who I'm more proud of. A version of me who I experience more ease within. A version of me that I'm unapologetic about. It stopped being about anybody else. Not to say that there weren't other people involved. But it really came back to, instead of it being like, I wish this or I wish that or da 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 da, it came back to me. And it came back to, how do I get to grow? How do I get to heal? How do I get to be a better version of me out of this situation? Rather than, why can't I change this person? Or why can't I change this situation? Or why can't this dynamic be different? It's like, why can't I be different? Right? And you can ask that question from a couple different frequencies. Right? Have you ever asked yourself the question, like, why can't I be different? And then haven't you ever asked yourself, like, why can't I be different? Like, I get to be different. I get to change. I get to let this dynamic, this situation, this environment change me. I get to be better. A better expression of me. I get to. I think that life hands us opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to be more of us, to be more of the authentic expression of who we are. And when life served me that opportunity in August, I was like, okay, I take it. And I let it change me. And it wasn't always easy. In fact, there were parts of it that were so uncomfortable that I really had to dig deep inside of myself to see if I was capable of holding the things that I needed to hold in order to be a different version of me, of breaking patterns, of being able to sit with tension inside of my nervous system in a way that I have never done before. But you know what it gave me? More of me. It gave me more access to me. It gave me more ease, more peace, more freedom, more joy, more alignment. It also gave me a lot of tears. And it gave me the opportunity to witness the wonky and weird things that I do to create safety for myself. That most of them are very maladapted at this point in time. They're from earlier in my life. And I wouldn't change it for anything. Right? I recently had somebody say to me, would you make this trade again? Like, you lost things, people in your life. And what I would say is, if that's what God, Mother Nature, the universe, the divine source needed to take from me in order for me to get me, more of me, I'd make that trade again. I don't think it has to be like that. I don't think that I have to trade. But if I do, I would do it again. In a heartbeat. I would go through everything that I've been through this summer and fall all over again. Without question. Because the peace and ease that I experience in my life right now, and it's not like, peace and ease is not like stuff isn't still happening, okay? I still have a bunch of stuff happening in my life. And somebody might look at my life and be like, well, that's not peace or ease. In here it is. In here it is. I get to experience peace and ease regardless of what is happening out there in my life. And for that, I would go through all this all over again in a heartbeat. What it took was me making the decision that I was going to extract more medicine from the experience than losing parts of me. And in extracting the medicine from the experience that I was having, it shifted the experience that I was having wildly. I began to enjoy it. I began to surrender. I learned how to sit with parts of me and be with parts of me and hold tension in my nervous system in a way that I've never held it. And I realized all of the times in my life that I would get to the spot where my nervous system would have to hold that tension and I would back down. And so what it means, because I have learned how to sit with tension inside of my nervous system, I've learned how to hold things that I couldn't previously hold. When I learned how to do that, creates choice, creates freedom, right? That's the energetics behind this. If I can hold it, if I can hold the tension inside of my being, of whatever the dynamic, the situation, whatever is, then I then access massive amounts of freedom because I have choice. I have choice. And I can choose when to hold it and when not to. It was a huge gift that the universe, God, Mother Nature, Source, Divine gave me. But it required me making the decision that I was going to extract as much medicine from the experience that I was having as I possibly could. And so if you are in the middle of something little or something big, really ask yourself, how much medicine are you willing to extract from this experience? Whether it is stubbing your toe, whether it is not having money in your bank account, whether it is a spouse, a partner leaving you, you leaving them, cheating, lying, whether it is a work environment that doesn't work for you, whether it is a friend or a family member that you are in conflict with, whether it be making a decision about what color to paint your wall, right? Whether you are holding something big or whether you are holding something small is irrelevant. The question that you may want to invite yourself into is, how much medicine am I willing to extract from this situation, from this environment, from this dynamic, from this person? And when you make the decision that you're going to take all the medicine that you possibly can from the experience, your experience is going to be different. And you are going to be different. I love you. I hope that you are having a fabulous Saturday. Mwah.